every day, but you gotta have some skill. Ain't no skill behind that. I could put you in the studio 24/7. You can't shine. You can't shine.
That's it. That's it.
You know?
Hey, Pfrank.
Hey.
What's up,
Happy
ladies? How y'all doing? There
Yeah.
we go. See, you gonna get Mario. Turn it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Yeah.
What you drinking?
Coffee.
That's a little bit of sangria with vodka and fruit.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Good.
All right.
Good. Nice to see everybody. Y'all look real made up to be on.
Yeah. Did you meet DJ Quarantine?
Look, me, I
got
on
the
live.
braids over there, man. That look good.
Look, I
told you I got my bamboos. You saw that?
Oh, you got it. Oh,
yeah.
damn.
We all things old school. We all things old
school. I love
school.
it.
And later I'll show you my kicks because you might be like, really, Valencia?
I love
Everybody got glammed up. But
good. So tell me everybody that's in the house and a little bit about them so I can know what's popping and everything.
Okay.
I don't know everyone here.
Okay, I'm Renee Moncito. I'm from Los Angeles, and what I do is business development, nonprofit strategies. I'm a business girl, you know,
Okay.
And that's what I do. Just help business going through this process.
That's awesome.
All things business.
All things business. Okay, very nice.
All things business.
Okay.
But the music, it doesn't matter what it is. It's just it's all a formula.
Okay.
Pfrank.
Very nice.
Pfrank, she's there. So anytime you want to connect, you connect. She's been my coach, my life coach, my mentor.
Oh, yeah, I do that.
And
Executive
a
coaching.
lot of different aspects.
CEOs, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
To keep the
Very
Genesis 1 and the 2 moving, she's been that person. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Remember that.
Yes. I remember that. Just let you know.
Very nice. And the other young lady, I'm sorry, you ma'am?
Yeah, so I'm Angel Expressions. I'm actually the one that texts you.
Okay. How you doing, Angel?
I'm doing good. So I'm a photographer. So I do creative photography, like alter egos, levitation, all the fun stuff. So I do album covers.
Alter egos and levitation?
Yeah, levitation too. So what I do is like reveal shoots for people. So think outside of the box. We put a vision together and we create it and we make it where is more, there's motion, like motion in it, without motion being in the picture, but there's expressions and, you know, like you can feel it.
Okay.
She has the spirit to the process. Yeah. She makes
it
alive.
Nice. Very
she
good.
has the light.
Okay.
We all have to figure out how to push it. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Speaking of push it, I'm DJ Quarantine. Let's get it.
DJ Quarantine is in the house. What's up, man?
DJ Quarantine, what's going on, Pfrank? I heard this one of your jams, man.
Let's hear. Let's hear. Oh, Snooki, what y'all know about that? Let's see the age of the people there who had you got the earrings, you got to have the leather jacket with the haircut shaved off on the side and the whole shit. What year is this? 88, 87? I'm trying to think about what was going on in that time. Yeah, got to be around that time.
Man, it was
what were you doing?
It was a lot of good
stuff. What were you doing?
Happening. It was happening.
In 87, 88?
It was happiness.
Yeah, that was good. I was in high school. I had a 4-door 77 Chevy Nova with two 15s in the back that I had saved up money from various jobs to get. And so I remember having that tape on a cassette tape. Remember we had to put a cassette tape in there and you had
right.
A
come on.
cassette.
How long it took to make your own mix on that cassette tape?
And I remember when I had like the salt and pepper hairstyle with the little gold piece going across over my eye.
Excuse me, I had to do it. And the red lipstick. And they had the little shoulder. You see, I was giving them
not the shoulder. You give a shoulder there too. Wow. Yeah, but Salt and Pepper, man, revolutionary female MCs in the whole game.
Kelly.
Absolutely.
Hey.
Welcome to the happy hour.
Hi, how are you?
Fantastic. How are you?
I'm good.
Pretty. I see the light behind you, girl. You got the lights going.
There's the light. There you go. Her lighting is better. Y'all black people, let me tell y'all from producing, we got to get the light even on your face. One of the problems with lighting people color on TV is like, we need Kelly's face. There we go. We getting there. Look at Valencia, got her whole lighting, got her Mary J over there. She got a glam squad and all of that.
Let me tell you, I'm waiting.
Lighting them.
I just ordered one.
Right. Wait a
Right.
minute. I had learned from the best. You think I'm
Okay.
get on here with you and I'm gonna come half stepping so you can talk about me and be
I'm
like,
not gonna
never
talk
again.
about you. I'm just like,
Never
we
again.
look at DJ Quarantine look like he came out of like a what's Arnold Schwarzenegger, one of them Mad Max movies. Like he in the
Oh,
desert
wow.
and shit. Yeah,
Right?
hilarious.
Wow.
Yes.
Funny.
So we were talking before Frank joined us, and now you, Kelly. Hey.
Hey.
How are we doing with quarantine? And back in the day, it used to be that hip hop would really.
You gotta tell people who Kelly is, though. I don't mean to produce you, but who's this lady? Who's she
ahead.
work with?
I'm letting you do you.
I'm not producing it. I'm a
what you
guest,
need
but
to
if you want me to co-produce it,
Go
I
ahead.
will. You know,
Credits
people don't know this
rolling.
lady. This
Go
lady
ahead,
is
We
with my
rolling
boy
for a second.
Sway.
We rolling.
Yes, you are, ma'am.
As a Valencia entrepreneur, I have to say it. Am I talking?
Yes,
Yeah.
you are.
You're talking. You're on stage because Frank put you there.
Okay. I'm Kelly Jackson. I'm a music executive, a show producer. I produce Sway in the Morning show. I'm the supervising producer. I'm also business partners with Sway Calloway.
Now business.
Yeah, exactly. Many years of working in the industry. So I've worked with various artists like Paul Mooney. I've worked in marketing. I've worked at Sony, worked on the pop side with the Jonas Brothers, Jessica Simpson, and various things. But I've lived my life being independent. So I think as far as being an entrepreneur, that's where I think I'm very comfortable. I currently, in addition to producing Sway Show, my platforms are basketball and health. So on Sway in the Morning, I do I've had an initiative called First Aid with Kelly Kinkaid. So I've had different guests like from Ayanna Van Zant, Dr. Ian Smith. And I've also done, like, during quarantine, I've been, as much as I miss basketball, I'm a season ticket holder with the Brooklyn Nets.
I thought you were about to say New York Knicks. I mean, I would have been out when the feeling.
No, not. I just had a talk I was on with John Sally on Sunday because the super sports fan. So that's who I am. That, keeping busy.
That's everything.
Busy.
That's everything. So that's exactly why I didn't know how to say all of that. We needed you to say it, but I didn't want you to have to come in and feel like we were just putting you on. Like, come in, have a drink, have a little bit of music, relax. Yes, leave it to Frank to be all like, we got to get to the business. Y'all can do that later.
Absolutely.
Welcome, Miss Jackson. DJ Quarantine. Welcome. I heard
Cinco de Mayo is what I'm saying.
I'm intrigued with DJ Quarantine, though.
Oh, DJ Quarantine got something for you, Kelly.
I heard this one of your shows, Kelly.
Absolutely.
Second and a chance to.
That's right.
Oh, shit.
While they slipping back off each planet in the pain.
That's right.
What you know about that? That's MC Breed, right?
Yep, MC Breed.
Flint, Michigan.
I'm from Flint. I'm a Flint native.
That's your boy.
Michigan.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Have you been working with Hill at all?
Have I been
working with Hill at all with the water?
You know what? We have crossed paths and he's told me a lot about his initiatives and stuff like that. I have not, but we've had a conversation about his efforts. But I do have friends that he works with business-wise on it.
Yeah, that's cool. I was on a conference call where he was talking about it and they had shipped the first pallet of water to them. So they were very excited about that. So yeah, you probably should.
Here's the thing I tell people, because my mom and my brother still live in Flint. Flint, Michigan was just the city that was discovered. There's other cities across this country that have old systems that never have been changed, that are not aware of the water system. We just were discovered by Aaron Brockovich, and right across the bridge, Newark has had a problem with their water. You go to Mississippi, to Chula, Mississippi, they've been had a problem with their water. So I just think that we got discovered because it's kind of confusing for me because the neighborhood my mother lives with, they never had a problem with the water.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
my family lives in this not in the city of Flint, but in the outskirts. And she said also they don't have a problem.
Where do they live? In Grand Blanc?
Grand, yeah, that
Grand
may
Blanc.
be, yeah,
Grand
that's
Blanc.
probably it. Uh-huh.
So yeah, but I'm very thankful for all the efforts that have been happening for Flint. But you know, we have bigger problems in Flint. You know, on Friday, a guy, his name was Calvin Munnerlin. He was shot he was the security guard at the dollar store. A woman walked in with her daughter, and he was doing his job. He told her that her daughter needed a mask before coming in. She argued with him, spat in his face, left out, got her husband, and I don't know, it was another young man. I'm not sure if it was her son. She told the husband and the other young man that she was disrespected. The two men went back to the store and shot the security guard dead. Wow. He was a father of 8. So we have bigger problems. You know, water's a big issue, but we're in a pandemic and Black people are still killing Black people. I'm not proud of that, you know?
Wow. It's crazy. It's really crazy how we're definitely in this time. And that is the reason that Frank and I even started talking, because I'm like, hey, you on the other coast. And I know that with you guys, entertainment, you know, I am happy to be back in entertainment. And that was, of course, from my coach, Miss Renee, up in the corner. Like, do what you love right now. You know, you're always on that grind, and you're always, you know, doing the things that you have to do. But at this point, let's do some things that are fun. So making us, you know, be able to quarantine for a second and do something with some passion and purpose. Absolutely. It makes it even all the more wild. But we all know that we come together around a certain thing.
Absolutely.
And obviously, like Frank, when I said, how do you feel like all these years after, you know, being with Source, being with the LA Times, doing your own production, like what brings you to where we are today and being able to hold fast to where we are? And he was like, it's always hip hop. It's always something, old school hip hop. And right. I'm sorry, Cardi, we love you, but Bodak Yellow don't get us through. At the end of the day,
I think that's really good about, you know, I'm not saying that the music can carry you through, but as you can see with Derek, with D-Nice, is that it's a healer. And so, you know, hip hop in general has been one of the biggest global currencies that connected all kind of people from around the world. And you can see how just his one thing of playing music in his living room has sort of transformed this moment in time. And so for me, you know, hip hop is about sticking and moving, you know what I mean? Making Absolutely. Something out of nothing. And so I think when you have that mentality, you know, this shit is fucked up. This is depressing. You're in the house by yourself, or you're like drinking too much, you don't exercise, you're not at work, your rhythm is thrown off, your kids ain't learning, you know, it's a lot going on. I mean, it could drive you crazy. And so you gotta retreat to maybe you like opera or whatever it is, your vibration. And for me, one thing that helps and heals is the music. And so, especially the music of my era, you know what I mean? The golden era.
What's that, Frank? What's that? What's your era? How old are you? Tell us.
Why you asking? Hold on. Do you ask women how old they are on the social media?
He's gonna go around.
I mean, you still fine regardless.
I appreciate you, but ladies, is that okay to be asking how old you are? And look at our lady like, hell no.
Yeah. The information you shared with me yesterday, we gotta ask how old you are. That's important.
Dr. Phil, I'm of an age, a certain grown age, yes. And so for me, it's 85, 86 to 95. That's my time.
Okay, so what's it that you like?
Kelly, grown and sexy.
All of that. Yeah.
You said you like Eric B? Is that what you said?
Eric B and Rakim.
That's what you said?
Kelly?
No, you. Is that what you just said?
No, I was saying Tupac, Eric B and Rakim, NC Light, that whole time, Death Row, Pac, you know, anything.
I used to like smoke. Now
they got it.
I'm to make sure it's on your song, cause I won't let nobody mess up the scene I set. I like to stand in the crowd.
You know, all this music made a comeback, right? All this music is hot.
That's exactly what. That's what I was trying to say. And when you spoke of D, it's one of those things where everybody, the Stephanie Mills, the Melba Moore, of course, Niles Rodgers, all of those folks that have been legends, and we grew up on those people that now they are like, you know, they are our heart, they are our soul. It's like, oh my gosh, like, and we're partying with them right now. I mean, that's a blessing. I think that's
amazing. You know, it's a trip, because I think one of the things about the whole D-Nice shit is that 9 times out of 10, if you go to a real party, Naomi Campbell ain't gonna be in your room, you ain't gonna be there with Michelle Obama, y'all ain't gonna be in one room just kicking it. If it's a VIP, they looking down or whatever it is. It's
Right.
good to have that place where we're all together in one place. It's a little weird, but I think it's, you know, it is
It's
the best
so
we can
fun.
have.
It broke down all the boundaries.
Right.
It made it open, inclusive to everybody. Because we're all going through the same thing.
Correct.
And you call it a business. What do you call it, Renee?
No, I said, you know, every business have business interruption. So you
Yes.
always have to know how to do it. It's not that this is a crisis, it's a business interruption. We have to change our mindset, how we look at it to take care of our own mental health. It's perception, you know. And I love the music because like you said, in that era, we had a voice, but we had to know how to market our voice to a place where the world would understand where we was coming from as a community and as a people. And that's the amazing part, because when everything hits the fan, you always got to come back to self. And then when you hear the voices and you hear that music, it reminds you of who we are as a people, how resilient we are, you know, how resilient we have to be at this time right now, and how to get the spirit to keep pushing beyond. See, who we are is not all what we do. It's the spirit that's in us that keeps
Preach there, goddammit, tabernacle.
When you're in the house alone, what you gonna do? You have to really get your consciousness right to say, how am I gonna evolve past this? We're shifting right now. Right. We're shifting to higher plateaus, different ways of looking at it, going deep inside, confronting yourself, your family members. Look, mental health is up. Right. Domestic violence is up. Child abuse is up. Ooh. Inside the house. It was already there, but now it's magnified. So now you have the opportunity to take that magnifying glass and put it on yourself and shift to the next level. And it takes music, it takes us getting together, having the conversation, breaking down these walls and barriers so we could really be able to tap into to who you are, Kelly, to who you are, Angel, to who you are, Frank. You know, it's us tapping in and be able to support each other through these processes on an emotional, spiritual level like we never have before. That's what the music did. That's what the music did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I tell people, I always tell people, I was gonna say, I tell people now they're saying, "Oh, I can't wait until we get back to the way it was." And I said, "You need to change your narrative because we're gonna have a new normal. Absolutely. You know, it will not go back. There's so many things that have changed in everyone's life. You know, so it's just kind of. I look forward to going back outside, but it's not going to be the same as it was once it was before."
I was doing the show where I'm interviewing all these different people, and I started looking for videos of like me with artists hanging out, doing whatever. And I was like, I saw these shows, EPMD, Mary J, Nas, Neo, and I was like, damn, I mean, am I gonna get to this? Am I gonna go to a show? I mean, what is there? I don't even know how to frame that. I was supposed to go to the Playboy Jazz Festival, to one of my birthday rituals, and I'm like, will live music ever come back in that form with everybody up against each other?
Yeah, Playboy, you know, we can have the box with, I mean, I know, huh? Beautiful web. Oh my God.
And not only that, it's like trying to see, you know, the blessing in all of this, because even though, you know, because when I was talking to Valencia, everything was kind of like really fast paced. And when you have your own business, you're juggling a whole lot of things. But this is giving me a time to really take the time to embrace my family, my children, when, you know, like I didn't always have those moments. They're like, you know, you try to be available, you try to stretch yourself, you try to do everything. But this gives me a moment to actually do some of the things that I enjoy doing. As you know, besides, music is art. But along with the music, like every morning, you know, my son gets up, he's playing music. Music is like a part of his soul, you know, and then we're playing, you know, he's got the kind of the new school type stuff, and then I'm playing old school, because
you got Lil Uzi Vert versus like Reverend Run. Is that Little Uzi Boozy, Little Baby, Duck Baby, the biggest baby, in between baby, medium-sized baby?
Yeah.
Don't mind Frank, that's the sangria.
I'm like, how many babies they got? What's going on?
That's that babbling.
There might be some more babies after this quarantine.
It's like some of that stuff I'm like, what are they talking about? Because they babble, the words don't even make sense, the lyrics don't make sense. I'm like, shoot, I could do it myself.
That's a Renee statement. If the words don't make sense, how is it going to process in your mind?
Hilarious.
Because words are perception, words are images. So you can't understand them. What are you seeing?
Right.
And what we used to party to was definitely what would get us through. I mean, I guess we at that point, we didn't know anything different, but just like, you know, of course, Dougie Fresh. I remember going to the skate land and just waiting. I mean, we waited for hours for him to come through, and it was packed. And everybody, like, we took off skates, we were ready to rock. But at the end of the day, it was a party. And you know, now everything is, you know, a little bit more superficial. It wasn't really a thing where you had VIP sections back in the day. It was just like everybody got on the floor, we just partied, or everybody just went to the gym jams. You know, it was just that kind of like one big group hug. Now everybody is so separate. It's who is who and who has what. If you can pop a bottle, if you can, and you can only buy one drink, you're quarantined from the real party. So at this, you know, when we think about things like the show that Dougie was doing, it was just like on.
Yeah, I know DJ Quarantine got some music. Was it?
Little something. Let's go.
Yeah.
Cinco de Mayo, ay, Dios mío.
Yes,
Oh, wow.
Cinco de Mayo. Yes, we love it. So yes, it was definitely a different environment. And I think now when we're going back to all things old school, I mean, we just have to adapt. And like you say, Kelly, the new normal, it is what it is. It's going to be,
Right.
you know, we are going to have to be more considerate of our health. We are going to have to be considerate of who's around us. We are going to have to be conscious of how we're moving, where we're going. You know, all the things that people are saying, like, hurry up, and get back. Hurry up got us here. Hurry up got us to the point where we weren't paying attention to the signs that it was coming. And now it's, you know, we don't have a technically, you know, a cure for this, which they say in all of everything. There's never been a case like this where, you know, of course, if it was measles, mumps, whatever, there was a shot for it. Now we don't even have it. So it's definitely a pause when it comes to that. And, you know, what that new normal will be, a lot of it will be, you know, what we dictate, I think, in some respect, because we go out, everybody's not used to the normal germs that were out there before. A lot of us gonna get regular common colds again. And then what? Then you're worried because you got a common cold, is that corona? And is there enough tests for corona? And now you're stressed out. And you know, where do we go from here? What do you do to find some sort of comfort without clearly driving yourself to drink?
Where did you grow up, Valencia?
Grew up in Virginia.
Okay.
I grew up in Virginia. Richmond, Virginia is where I grew up. And actually, I've been in the DC market. When I met you, I was in the DC, Maryland market for a while. Just a rat race, just so much. I mean, it's not so much a mini New York, but it's just so much. It's such a much as it relates to, of course, the government aspect of things. It's very much that. So I recently moved back down here to slow down. And that was probably 9 months ago, if you will, that I came here to slow down and just, as Angel said, be with my family and, you know, kind of recalibrate for a second and, you know, reorg. But my passion has always been what we're doing, entertainment. I always wanted to live in California, right, Frank?
Exactly. So, all right.
So at this point,
I was talking to one of my friends, and we were talking about coming back to the basics, you know, of life. And I think that what you were talking about earlier, and I think, you know, this situation has made you appreciate basic things like you never did before, like having dinner with your friends or eating at a restaurant or just, you know, going to a concert. And it's a trip now you have to get back to the basic appreciation. You know, I seen a couple in New York yesterday. She crossed the bridge or something to see him, and they both kissed, but they both had their mask on. And so I was like, damn, you know, they were still loved each other, but that's what they had to do that in order just to be able to have a kiss. So, I think we're all going to come out of this in a whole another way, and hopefully be smarter and wiser. And depends on your mindset, I guess.
Yeah, I guess the mindset is definitely one that Renee was speaking of. It was just something that if you allow for this to take over, the quiet time, the lack of things that you may think that you're supposed to be doing, it can start to bother you, being at home.
I think a lot of people are going to have to change. Some of the fat is going to be taken away. I don't know about Kelly's world or, whatever she's doing, but I definitely like shoot stuff. We can't have as many crew. There's so much stuff that's going to happen. Music artists, they probably can't tour like that in those arenas, or, NFL. It's just so much at risk. But your mental health is the one thing that you can control. I stopped watching the news sometimes because it was just overwhelming, and they keep sending you reports, and you're just like, you get caught up in it all. And so I try to turn on the music, the old school. You know what I'm saying? Remember when I was in the high school party trying to get a little grind, or just to get my head away or something.
What was it, Pfrank? My Adidas. I cracked up when you said that, my Adidas. I said, what's that?
What do you mean?
I was just messing with you. You had to you had the rope and everything, the Kango. Turn it to the side.
Oh, so you said the rope and the Kango. You crazy.
Yeah. And turn it to the side.
Everybody can you remember? I remember when this is 87, Run DMC came to the Oakland Coliseum. And I don't know about you guys in your city, but if you want to go to a dance or an event, you remember how you get your money straight and try to go buy your outfit, and you try to put that outfit together. You got to put the shoes and the whole thing. It's a big deal when you go to the concert because everybody's wearing their fresh stuff. And I think I had the black and red sweatsuit. I think I might have had the Pumas on it though. I don't think I had the Adidas that day. Adidas sweatsuit. Big deal back then.
It was. It really was.
Did you have one, Kelly? I think everybody had that one little outfit that it was like the outfit.
What's I like to be different. So for me, it was Fila's. Like for me in high school, I was the only person in my high school that had the Fila's. I was blessed. Can y'all hear me? I'm a GM baby. So see? Exactly.
She got the Fila's for real. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out how you can see it. Wait. Yes.
That's dope. Feelers for me and Deodora's.
Deodora, you had money then. You had to fly.
Yeah. She was able to shop. She was in the city. She could shop.
Yeah. The whole Deodora fit is way more expensive. And the Fila, come on.
I always say I'm a daddy's girl. I'm a GM baby, and I was in Flint when the factories. My dad was worked for GM for 43 years, so wow. I was blessed. All right. Deodora's, and one thing, I wasn't a big Converse. The Chucks.
I have them in 3 colors. Yeah, I
have them, but those are not my go-tos right now. But I'm corrupted. I'm a sneaker head. Sneakerhead.
Yeah, sneakerhead. I wasn't for a while, but then, of course, my son plays basketball, so I am a girl with basketball. That's why I was tuning into your show. I love basketball. I mean, all things basketball as well. So, with that being said, I had to change my wardrobe a little bit because it didn't quite look right to go to the basketball games with your heels on, even though some do it, that was just a little out of place. So I love to put on a little sports fit, and the kids are like, "Oh gosh, Miles, here's your mom."
I wanted to comment on Frank. It was saying that as far as the changes of everything in my world, just as far as the entertainment industry, like Frank, it's definitely different because a lot of companies now are looking at, hey, we really don't need to be in the office all this time because the radio show right now, we're all at home. This is probably our sixth week being home, and I feel like I'm busier because I booked the show and we're just doing phoners. We're not even doing Zoom, but it's still busy because the show must go on. And I think a lot of companies are now seeing we're still productive and maybe even more productive. That everyone's home and not moving around. And then me as just a civilian, I have season tickets with the Nets. Like, it affects me because I paid for a whole season and they still taking money out of my account for next season. And I want to know what are we doing
about this?
As far as this current season, we weren't done just with the regular season and playoffs, and we're still waiting to find out what are we going to do this season. Is this, are we going to finish it or what? So it affects, all this affects everyone, and I think that it's going to be interesting just to see where we land, because this past weekend I had gone to the store and I was so spooked that people are in the parks here in New York and moving around. Like, I was like, is a joke on me? Are we in a pandemic? Like, people are out here.
Out there. They say out here. They out here doing the most. The most. We're trying to get in the grocery store.
It's true. Certain areas I go to, like when, some of the stores where I live at, everybody's wearing masks. But when I went to Church Hill, I don't know if you know where Church Hill is, but everybody's out. I mean, they act like it's any given Sunday there. Everybody's out. They're like shopping. They're
there's no pandemic. This is their day.
Buying chicken. Like, I mean, everybody is out and they're just acting like nothing is going on. I mean, some people think it's overrated, I just look at it this way. It's like, I'd rather take it serious than have, something actually happen to me and my family.
Well, we definitely can't ignore the fact that it is real, and we probably all have had some sort of connection to it. I mean, a friend, a family member, it may not have been directly, but I've had several people that either be sick with it. I do have a friend that lost his wife recently. And a young lady, her grandfather passed not too long ago. So, I mean, it is real. I don't know how you guys feel about whether it's targeting a certain demographic. I don't know if we want to really go that deep with it. But I mean, it is real. We do have to be serious about it. Frank, do you think it is?
What do you mean? Targeting a certain demographic?
I mean, you know how they've been saying lately that
I don't even know if it's targeting. I don't think a virus can do a target, but the lack of healthcare for certain communities are the poor dietary habits and
hygiene, yes.
I guess you could say hygiene or whatever. And if you don't have a great doctor, for example, I was talking to a friend of mine, a young lady, and then I was saying I didn't want to get the test, right? Because I'm pretty healthy. I've never had a really great immune system before this. I haven't zero symptoms, whatever. And I was like, maybe I'll just go just to find out. And because you can LA, you can go test, right? Without, whatever. And then I was like, no, I want to go to my private doctor because I want that information to be private with me and my doctor. I don't want to go to an LA County thing where they got my number, they got me in the system. I grew up around Oakland, around the Panthers. I don't trust it. But to some extent, it's good to know because then they can track, you can figure it out. But she was like, you going to your doctor, that's bougie. I was like, no, I'm like, shit, I want to be able to control. This whole thing is opening us up to so many things that I don't even think we've begun to think about what's going to happen out of this. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. I think when you say targets us, that's the wrong thing, but it exposes the cracks in the system that are already fucked up. You know what I mean? We got diabetes, we got poor healthcare, we got all of that. And if you don't have that, you already got asthma in your family. By the time you go to the doctor, your lungs are, you're already compromised. So
yes. Well, I didn't think that it targeted either. I didn't understand why that started to be an issue. However, I know there's been a statement, CNN or so, what have you. But I mean, I just think that it's just unfortunate. We just didn't take it seriously in December or, January, when we knew that the other countries were being affected, that people travel and people are, moving all the time, especially where you are, Kelly, because you're in New York, most transient state in America. So,
I was wondering, Kelly, do you think New York will ever be back to normal? Like, I'm there a lot and I'm just like, the way New York is organized is so densely you got to be on, it's just the whole world of that place is that way,
It has to be, because at this point we're 6, 7, 8 weeks out. It's now switching off to a money thing. Okay. And I think that Cuomo has a lot of pressure. I think that he's been great with getting things in order, but you know, he does a daily email as far as updating us on everything. And so yet last night, New York is going to be starting to open. We have a four-part plan, plan as far as releasing stuff, and they're going to start opening different stuff out. I think that it has to be, but like Valencia, I think you said, it's so important. I tell everyone that, and this too shall pass, but we have to get our immune systems up. Like while I've been home, I always take my vitamins, but I'm very religious now with my vitamin D, like my vitamin C, my oregano oil. Like we have to get ourselves healthy as a community. You know, like I said, I don't know. I do know a lot of people of color who have passed away due to COVID, and not only in New York, but outside of the city. But it's important. This was like a wake-up call for a lot of people to get healthy. You know, so the answer is yes, it has to. That's what it's going to be, you know, because at some point, you know, you look at Michigan, my home state, you see the white folks, they're fighting this now. And the governor, they're calling her Gretchen, Big Gretch, the governor, she's holding tight, but at some point, that's going to break. You know, there's a lot of people who are kind of thumbing their nose to this. And I think that they haven't been touched directly to COVID. But I think at some point, this is going to let up. You know, I have no intention. I think in LA, you guys are May 15th is like we are too.
Yes.
I'm not coming out till June as far as when I say.
We don't let up until June 10th.
What city? Is that Virginia?
Virginia. We can't leave until June 10th.
I didn't know that. Really?
I didn't know that.
Yes. And he said this in April, so he didn't even he wasn't edging it. It's been June.
Yeah. So the thing that like, because people are protesting, you know, near the Capitol and everything, and they're protesting, they want things to open up. To me, I feel like it doesn't make sense to me because the numbers are constantly rising. So what are we doing about, what are we actually doing? So what's the sense?
Money. What are you talking about? Of course, it's about money. You know, I'm a realist. It's horrible.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like what I'm saying is kind of like they ended up, okay, everything is closed down, right? In the meantime, numbers are continuously rising, but we're going to reopen up and the numbers are still rising. It doesn't even none of that makes sense to me, you know, because like, why are we not testing everyone? Why is not everybody getting tested so we can know who needs to be quarantined and who does not need to be quarantined so we can keep everything open? Right. Like it just, I don't know. I don't know everything, but I know with common sense, it don't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know where there's going to be a foolproof plan now. People are aggy. They don't want to sit still. You know, it's appropriate that this month is mental health awareness month because a lot of people are dealing with mental health issues now. A lot of people don't want to stay still. I think this time a lot of people got a chance to know a lot about themselves. That they can't be alone.
Just to say you're busy. I was on a Zoom call with all these really big time people. And one of the things that struck me, this guy, James Lopez, who works with Will, said was that he's cut down a lot of the time from going to lunches, hanging out, driving to work. A lot of the fat has been cut, you know, and it's deep. And, you know, I was listening to the young lady, Angel. You know, the reality of it is America is a capitalistic country and that some people are going to have to die for this situation for it to go. So if 100,000 people have to die for, you know, 250 million people to get back to work or do whatever, that's the price you're going to have to pay. As a hustler, that's how we look at it. If you go in this lifestyle, you have to absorb the consequences of what happens. And so when they're saying they're just like, well, some of those people will have to die. That's for it. Too much at stake for all these other people and for these other. It's the law of, and that's a horrible thing to say. And don't put it on me to say it personally, but that's if I'm in charge, that's what's probably got to happen.
And so one thing is like, I feel like I tell my kids all the time, you better learn how to bounce back because life is always like, it's always going to be challenging. There's always going to be tragedy. It's always going to be things happening in your life. And if you don't learn how to bounce back from situations, you're going to sink. Like, you know, we're either we're gonna float or we're gonna sink. And that's how it is. So in the meantime, we got to figure out each individual, we all got to find a plan for ourselves. And the same thing, when you say go back to the basics, we have to go back to the basics, because I think we forgot how to do some things that we rely on the grocery store. We rely on everything else. So, I mean, what happened to when we were gardening and things like that, where we didn't have to rely on the government for everything? So it's like, we have to learn how to do some things on our own, where we're not relying on everybody else to provide for us.
Right. Well, listen, we'll get back to, we got all deep. Look at us, quarantine's got us deep talking about our issues and shit. Like, we need, come on, Dr. Philomena.
Yeah, let's talk about something else.
We only got about 15 more minutes before I got to
wait a minute. Quarantine can rock all day. Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about something else.
What's the next song, DJ Quarantine?
Hey, while we're in the quarantine, we still got to go to work.
I love it. That's
you said some people got to go to work. Well, he works with the government as well. So he's saying that at this point, you know, obviously being in the Mecca in DC, you know, it's one of those things where a lot of them work from home anyway. So this isn't something that is going to adversely affect you know, what they're doing by day. And a lot of them, you know, the responsibilities that they have will continue. But I think that overall, everyone is going to have to adjust. It's going to be a new pulse. It's definitely going to be, you know, things. I mean, financially, I just wonder where we are, because, you know, I didn't want to think about the stimulus last month. That was April. Think about the stimulus and all of those things that people were looking for, because I said, okay, now what are we going to do about the May month if everybody is looking for stimulus in April, you know? And if that's the case, then if there isn't anything to offset in May, we've got to get creative. You know, we've got to get on the grind. We've got to get serious, you know, take out a little bit of the savings if there is one. I mean, we know a lot of folks, you know, may or may not even have that. So at this point, you definitely have to you know, plan for the B and the C. And one thing I will say, I always joke with my government friends, because they have such an okay situation. Every 2 weeks, it's there. You know, they're not thinking about it or looking for it. And so, you know, now they're like, oh, wait, wait a minute. What are we supposed to do? Not that it's anything, you know, being adversely affected by it at this point. But it's something that's a different energy and a different thought process that a lot of us that are in the entrepreneur side of things. And we honestly have to continue to, you know, figure it out if we feed our families.
Right.
We have to be creative. And Frank, I know when we were talking about building this platform and being able to integrate in that, everyone is kind of learning on the job right now as it relates to, you know, what software communicates with what, but also now we're learning what streaming allows for other opportunities financially, you know. So as we were actually having to go out and shake hands and make meetings and create things to make money, now there's a different opportunity, and we just have to be smart, a little bit ahead of the curve. I mean, we probably aren't at this point. We're kind of in it trying to figure it out, but figuring out ways that we can monetize in whatever facet that we can, while we're doing what we're doing, while we're sitting here being creative.
Right. No, I mean, obviously it's that time that, you know, I was listening to Survival of the Fittest before this came on. And I think that's the appropriate theme song. You got that song, DJ? Let's play that. Let's bump that. You got that? That's the Mobb Deep right there.
Yes, sir.
Oh, he got Kumo D right there. But he got to have the Mobb Deep. But I think that's where our head got to be at. You know that song, Survival of the Fittest? You got to be able to go back to nickels and dimes, and your mama had a little food to make it work and do what it is and stretch things a little bit more and get out of your comfortability. Maybe you need to learn a new language. Maybe I need to start editing myself, whatever it is to do. You know, I was stressed out about trying to film stuff with all these multiple screens and not being able to control it. I have to turn those shows in to people who want to buy them. You know, the weird thing is that working in television and film, we're totally compromised now by how we film stuff, because I can't go produce American Gangster in person. I can't go unsung and be in somebody's community or be in Bone Thug's house or whatever it is. So I got to figure out, I got to sidestep, I got to try to, pivot. And so it's just been interesting to try to think about this. But I do believe overall, when you look back at this, sometimes I look back at stuff that I wrote in 1995 or 1997, or where my head was at. You're going to look back from this, 25, 30 years. Oh, that was when they had the COVID. That's why everything on TV and film looks like that. So, my advice is just, you got to be the survival of the fittest. You got the joint right there. There we go.
Frank, were you in production with anything?
I had a couple of different things I was supposed to shoot, and they all got canceled because people were coming from multiple places to shoot it in one place it was a crime show. And I'm doing another bio thing. I can't put all of those people. If I put all y'all in a room and one of y'all get the COVID, then you're going to try to sue Fox and you're going to try to sue A&E. You're going to try to sue whoever, right? And so I got to try to make you sign something, or I got to test. I don't know what would you do?
Sit home. Right, exactly.
But no, people are trying to, if you're think about it like this, and this is not on the topic of old school. We only got a few more minutes on this, but if you're a company, television viewing is up 30 or 40%, streaming, everything. And so you need more content at a time when you can't even go produce it. So you may have people go film some stuff with Zoom that looks a little funny or BT COVID relief, but we got to figure it out. I think people in the public are understanding, you know what I mean? And they understand what they're viewing.
Or you can actually film, like if you got people that are kind of skilled, different people that work with you and they're skilled in filming, they can film at their location and then you can put the film together. You know what I'm saying? You got to
imagine if you're an artist or Kelly works in music and you used to be in a studio where, you can't imagine the vibe with Busta plus, Janet and they're in the studio and they're going through the track and they're like, oh, no, I like that part or whatever. And if I'm out producing a story about you in your neighborhood with your mom talking to your home, how do I duplicate that?
Right.
I can't.
But, I mean, at the same time, this is the moment for us to kind of think, because I do video as well. So it's the moment to try to be creative and try to figure out another way. So it's like, that's where the innovation comes from.
Absolutely.
So we have to be innovative during this time, and you got to figure out, you got to work with what you got. And that's where we talk about going back to the basics.
There we go.
Work with what we got and we figure out how we're going to make that film pop. You know what I'm saying?
And I think those go back to what Kelly had said, is definitely nothing's going back to be the same. So your wheelhouse, your tool house is changing, your skill sets are changing. And let me tell you something, whenever you start something new or different, that's where creativity comes in anyways. You start thinking about new ways. You just got to not be afraid to start the process, because you'll get creative in that process. You'll get another thought, another way of doing it. Man, the fact that you've been said what you're saying, Frank, I'm telling you, go to sleep tonight and come up with a brand new process. That's how it happens. I'm telling you, it came right out your spirit. So you're going to go to sleep tonight like, how can I make this interactive where everybody can feel it? Man.
How can I get somebody else to film them there? How can I get them to film themselves? How can I get them to get their own light?
You got to figure it out. This is the next level. What I'm trying to tell you, the answers are in us.
Correct.
This is what this is about.
You color people, y'all people of all Spanish, Black, y'all got all kind of, ingenuity and creativity.
Oh, we all do. It comes from above, in us.
Color in it, y'all different.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think at every stage of our lives, something always happens to push us to the next level.
Right.
You could call it crisis, you could call it whatever. It's just something. It could be someone in your family that got sick, divorce, anything, whatever it is. It takes a time where you're going to sit down and say, this is where I'm at. You understand? Show me beyond myself. Right. And this is where all the good stuff happens. Like, this is where your music gets better. This is your thought process, your creativity, different systems come in play. It all always comes. Remember, if you're not answering a problem, you ain't significant anyways. So right now, there's a lot of problems. So we're really relevant.
I need you to say that one more time.
But
if you aren't answering,
you're not answering a problem, you're not relevant. That's how we make money, is answering problems. That's what you do, Kelly, all day, troubleshoot.
All day.
Right, and then create, and then make it look like nothing is even going on. They didn't even know you solved 12 problems before they even talked to you.
Speaking of which, I'm just gonna let you all know that right now I'm like, oh my gosh, I had a surprise for you all. And we've run into a little bit of technical difficulties, but before we have to log off, I wanted to let you all know that our love and legend, Dougie Fresh, was joining us today. And he got on a call, and that call ran over, and we may actually—
Doug, what up, baby? Why did you tell me that's my partner? What are you talking about?
It was a surprise. And we were waiting and waiting, and I'm literally like sitting here like, and just like—
Well, you got to do a part 2 now. You got to do a part 2.
Thank you. Yes, yes, that's it. I was waiting.
And by the time you do part 2, he would have created something.
Yeah, True Story Tuesdays. I'm gonna give you another true story. I posted one today about Mary J. Blige. True story. Me and Doug, who I've known for a long time, were at. I wish he was on. We were we at his hotel before he was performing at a— can't remember where he's performing. This got to be about 4 years ago, 5. I don't know, whatever it was. And so we were in his room before his show. And so some of his sons do his merch, right? I think Doug has 7 sons, if I'm not mistaken. And so me and Doug are talking about making your children work harder. He was saying one of his sons was there. I think he was about 15 at the time, playing his video games, and he didn't want to go do nothing. And I was like, he's spoiled. You fucking spoiled him. You are who you are, and he thinks that he can just show up and do that. And so we were talking about work ethic. And, you know, I think that for him, he realizes just because he did it, his kids think they don't have to put the work in. So right now, I think it's especially a time where, you know, I see my kids, they're blessed. I was arguing with them over allowance, and I gave them something without them earning it. And so Doug, it's a trip because he worked so hard. His whole show is about him working hard, right? When you see him, he really don't perform that many songs when you think about it. It's about him entertaining you and working you. So hopefully in the next episode, he'll show you.
Yes, right.
See, Doug can rock his show without, he don't even need the whole band. Shout out to—
that's it. And he was going to do it live for us. But since we don't have him on live, then let's just get DJ Quarantine to take us out of here with it.
All right.
In the next part 2, you guys are coming with some innovative solutions.
There we go. See, there's a therapist. There's Dr. Phil over here.
At least
like,
one.
Dr. Nay.
Dr. Nay. Nay, nice to meet you, baby girl. All
nice
y'all.
Nice to meet you guys. Kelly, pleasure.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too.
Yes, thank you all. Happy Cinco de Mayo.
Turn up, yep. Whatever you do.
Let's start rapping.
Hey, there you go. This is on the show. Y'all have a good day.
Yeah. This is the show.
Robin, Osha, Tom and Andy, Jessica, come on.